This meeting is being live streamed.
Yay!
Exciting.
Awesomeness. Good morning, everybody. And welcome to the Everyday Riches Show. I'm your host, Barbara Lunan Ellison, and I'm a life transformation trainer. And I'm on being live streamed. Yay! Exciting. Hey, but that's awesomeness. Good morning, everybody, and welcome to the Everyday Riches Show. Luckily, Ellison, and I'm a life transformation.
So we're live on YouTube playing.
It was just a double take. That's what it is. Take two.
Yeah. Wait a minute. I've got to mute. I forgot to mute YouTube. Jason will cut it out.
That's right.
So,
okay.
We're here. So we're live. We are recording. Let me make sure that we are recording. So yes. Good. All right. So let's start over. Good morning, everybody. And welcome to the Everyday Riches Show. I'm your host, Barbara Lunan Ellison. I'm a transformational life trainer. And, I'm on a mission to make happiness the norm rather than the exception. Because I truly believe that each and every one of us deserves to lead a happy, healthy, financially free, abundant life. However, in order to do that, you need to have the mental and physical and financial fitness to do that. So that's what this show is all about. Getting you in touch with who you are in your life, in your business, in your relationships. And so, just finding the everyday riches in your everyday. And I am so excited. I have my good friend and buddy, Carol Henderson, on with me. Jason, unfortunately, texted me first thing this morning and said, I am flat out in bed. So I immediately, of course, said, Carol, can you come on and be my co-host? So, but we're going to be talking to Dr. Heather Tucker. So Carol, introduce yourself, and then we will talk to Heather.
Okay. Well, I am so excited to hear what all Heather has to say. I'm Carol Henderson, and I have Life by Design. And what I do is I help people to design their lives so that the second half of their life is better than the first half. And my whole thing is to help people spiral up with their life instead of spiraling down. And that's spirit, soul, and body. What you say comes to pass in your life. I don't care if you're saying good things about yourself or bad things about yourself, it will come to pass. And so that's one of the things I work with. I work to up people's nutritional IQ and help people to just live just a wonderful, more fruitful life, even when there's chaos all around them.
I love it.
Exactly. And isn't it? And right now that is.
So internet
Heather,
down,
thank you so much for coming on the show today. Exactly. So Heather, thank you so much for coming on. Introduce yourself. You and I have talked several times. And I've been on your show. And so it has been just such a blessing. So just tell us about yourself and what's new and how was your Labor Day and all that kind of stuff.
Okay, cool. Aloha, everyone. Dr. Heather Tucker here. I work with entrepreneurs, especially coaches who want to achieve success in business and life harmony, because it really is two sides of the same coin. We never want to get so busy making a living that we forget to make a life. And it is possible to work smarter, not harder, and create time, money, and emotional freedom. And so I know that as we're going on this journey of entrepreneurship, there's a lot of big things that come up that prevent us from actually fully achieving the success that we're called for. And we're an expert in supporting you and leaning into what's going on, letting go of what we got to let go of so we can really leap forward into our calling. I have a professional training and coaching company. I teach and certify life coaches as well as communication mind experts, because, it really is about creating a healed heart and a renewed mind so they work on one accord and we literally become unstoppable. That's what it's all about. We're all called for prosperity. We're all called to live that happy and joyful life. Yet oftentimes there's so many things that get in the way with our situations and our circumstances. And just like Barbara had mentioned, the level of happiness is so low. And it's time to be able to increase that. It's time to be able to really step into our joy, step into our full aloha. You see, I see the sign here. It says, keep calm and live aloha, because in the midst of the chaos, we can have calm. So it is all about understanding the things that may have harmed us and recognizing that everything that's working together for our good. And it's going to create harmony if we allow it to. And so, yeah, we do a lot of things. Like we have a show. We also have Aloha Mastermind. So my whole motto is no coach left behind. And big picture, it really is about supporting us and unleashing our greatness, owning all of our uniqueness, overcoming any great fear that is preventing us from total success. So happy to be here with y'all today.
I'm glad to hear all that. I've heard it, guys. Yeah. I'm right here with you. So this is exciting.
And one of the things that so often I hear other people that we talk on the same subject. And once in a while, it'll be like, oh, gee, are we talking about that too much? You know what? No, we're not talking about it enough. We are not talking about it enough. And as more and more people are realizing that and the word enlightening is like, it has so often has such a negative, can have a negative connotation, but it's to enlighten the world that there's a better way and that we can all be part of it. And that is what is so exciting, especially, like the Dalai Lama has said that this is the decade of the woman. And it's so nice. I mean, I love Jason, but it's so nice right now to be just the three of us, because we're all women, all building businesses, impacting the world.
Oh, and goosebumps. I love that.
Impacting the world. And one day I was reading an article about the Great Resignation, and I went, what is the great, and to tell you the truth, right at that moment, I went, what is the Great Resignation? I'm thinking, everybody's resigned. No, it is a whole movement of people that are getting out of corporate America, getting out of what they were doing to come home and be what they're supposed to be, to find out their purpose, their passion, what they want. And that's exactly what we're talking about.
Oh my gosh. So it's really cool that you mentioned the Dalai Lama, because the Dalai Lama said that it's the Western woman that's going to be able to change the world. And it's that movement that we're seeing.
Change the world.
You're right. Like we're stepping in a whole new charted territory. People are recognizing that they have so much amazingness. They have so much value. They're not really appreciated at their positions. And, sometimes they can get so caught up with what everybody else thinks about them and what everybody else perceives that they should do. And it's that part about owning and honoring all that you are and all that you're called to do and all that you're called to be, recognizing that your opinion of you and God's opinion of you is more important than anybody else's opinion of you. So there's a calling on everyone's life. This is why I love entrepreneurship. And I believe that entrepreneurship is freedom. We all have a calling. We all have a purpose. We all can make that impact and influence in the world. And it's time to really be able to fully own that and live that and love that, and not feel so much resistance to it, if that makes sense.
And one thing that Barbara says on our show all the time is that there's, 8 billion people or 80?
Yeah, 7 or 8 billion people now on planet.
Yeah, 8 billion people on the planet now. So when you say, are we talking about it too much? Well, I mean, there could be hundreds of us talking about it, but who do we reach? If each of us reach just a few of those people, then we'll reach them. But if we shut up because we think that someone else does it better, someone else says it better, and we don't speak out, then there's somebody that's going to miss out because we didn't come to the table.
Yeah, we become the world's best kept secret.
Oh, amen.
And a lot of times people think, we got to reach everyone. No, you just got to reach the right ones. Like there's a right one for everyone, right? Does that make sense? And so a lot of times people will have those.
And be the one.
And be the one.
Yeah. And you can have more than one coach. You can have coaches, you can have multiple business coaches, you can have marriage coaches, you can have weight and image coaches, and you can, you can have so many coaches out there. You can't have too, well, I guess you could have too many if you're listening to too many voices, but you need to hone in and find your coaches. Find them for every area of your life. Barbara and I do a lot of the same stuff, but she's more from the oh, help me here, Barbara, the business, the
business
personality side, where I'm
Right.
more of the health and wellness and the that side, with a background in model and talent. So that, I used to have a model and talent agency. So I see things in those terms so often, not judgments, okay? But, I do see things in those terms. And so that's where, even though we do so much of the same thing, we do it very differently. And
Well,
so that's the good mix here with the three of us.
I love that you highlighted that, Carol, because that actually was the motivation for me doing this Power of Coaching book collaboration that we just released. It's like 12 coaches in there, business coaches, life coaches. But we're talking about the power of coaching because there's a lot of people that have no idea that, coaching is all about supporting you and becoming who you want to be, bridging the gap from where you are to where you want to be. And there's so many people that want to give up, want to throw in the towel, feel hopeless, feel uncertain, feel frozen, feel stuck, feel paralyzed. And, coaching is a really priceless avenue to be able to help us move forward. And the beauty of it is that every coach is unique. It's like an art. It's a beautiful art. And that's one reason why I love to tell the coaches that I certified that there's no competition, but the competition that you create. Stop looking at other people and other perspectives and owning your uniqueness and your value and walk fully in that. And then it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. And then that's where that collaboration, that co-opetition, we're stronger together than we are divided.
Right.
Yes.
That's what I love that. I mention quite often that African proverb that says, if you want to go fast, go alone. But if you want to go far, go together. And that absolutely, for me, applies to coaching and how to live your life, because there's so much you can do more in a community because you have support.
So true.
Well, and I've been working on a class reunion, and it amazes me to see how many people don't even have a clue that there's something called a coach out there. I mean, they're just living their day-to-day life, and they don't know the wealth of free advice here on just like these shows. I mean, so much value is being brought here on the different platforms, the different social media and visual platforms, and they don't even have a clue. I mean, they're only thing, I mean, they might do Facebook, and some of them don't even do that. But and what can I say? You get good and bad coaching from Facebook.
Yeah.
And, God love them. I don't know where we'd be without them, because they were the forerunner. Well, almost. There was MySpace and those other things, but they were the forerunner for everything that we all do. But when Sally Sue, that doesn't have her life together, and running around on her husband's giving you marital advice, you need to think about that. Find you a better quality coach.
Yeah. One of the things that's really interesting is that I see, and one of the coaches in the book highlighted that, there's some coaches that are doing it wrong, meaning like advice giving, meaning like putting their mind and their perspective in it. And it creates more of a problem than it does solutions. That part about who is the expert of the person. The person is the expert of the person. But, as a coach, we're not the expert of that person. We're there to be able to support them in guiding and getting their own resources out. And so it was that part about, we don't know, we don't know. There's the reality is we can just learn better. We can do better. I remember in the beginning of coaching, it was all about my perspective or my 2 cents. And then the more that I started coaching, I started seeing these broader perspectives. Like, no, whenever there's a coaching situation, it has nothing to do with me. My reality is totally out, and I'm totally in the reality and supporting and guiding the client. So what it lays down to, Carol and Barbara, is that authenticity, that ability of like, are we really there fully for them? Or is there something in our heart or our mind space that makes us feel like that it's about us? Does that make sense? So it's that part about, really stepping into, it's funny because like it's this journey of coaching, this journey of learning. And the more that we are able to do the work, the more that we're able to really be that light and hold that space for them to step into their transition in spite of and regardless of our input. So I would sometimes hear horror stories of my coach told me to do this. My coach told me to do that. And it was actually opposite of what their soul was telling them to do.
Yes.
And so I'm like, oh, we need to talk to this coach.
Well, I keep thinking of a practical thing back when I was doing the image consulting and training image consultants and makeup artists. And I was in Denny's with some of my women I was working with. We were on a lunch break, and there was a group of women in the back room having their meeting. We're in Texas, and there was a makeup company that was very famous from Texas. Heather's think I can see the wheels turning. What's from Texas? They drove really big cars. They were the first people that did Barbara's favorite color of Cadillac. Anyway, and nothing to disparage this company. I mean, the woman had a heart, and they have done well. But I watched the women walk out, and we were teaching face design to these women that I was with. And very much from an artist's perspective, I mean, a face is a face is a face. For the most part, they have 2 eyes, a nose, and a mouth, but they're all configured differently. And you have to look at it as an artist. The light colors bring forward, the dark colors push back. I would put makeup on Barbara different than I would put it on Heather, because of that contrast. And so they were walking out, and I called them over and just chatted and said hello and everything. But every one of them looked like little cookie cutter masks. All of their makeup was exactly the same, no matter their face, no matter their skin tone, none of that. They all looked just alike. And so I told the girls, I said, when you start doing this, take time to look at the face, study the face, see what it is, what it needs. Is it oval? Is it, oval's supposed to be the perfect. So is it a square jaw, or is it a heart shape with just a little skinny chin? Or is it, what is it about the face? Are the eyes too deep set? Are they coming out too far to be visually pleasing? But that's the same as coaching. When early coaches, it's okay, you do this, and this. Or like in the supplement market, it's like, I'm a so-and-so rep, and this is what you take, and everybody takes the same thing, and everybody does the same thing, and everybody has to do the same exercise. No, God made us different. All our fingerprints are different. All of our DNA is different. And, whether it's makeup, food supplements, coaching, we need to get to the DNA of it.
Yeah, because everybody's individual. And what I think for me, when I'm coaching somebody that's new, it's like, I remember one of my guys, and I just said, well, if you weren't doing what you're doing, and he was in financial services. And I said, well, if you weren't doing what you're doing now, what would you be doing? It literally stopped him in his tracks. He had literally never thought of ever possibly doing something other than what he was doing, because that's what he had gone into when he was in his 20s. Well, he's now in his 40s. And so what are you going to do? Whoops, we lost. Okay. Oh, no, we're back.
I just had to sneeze.
But it was like, then he finally said, oh, I would do this. And I said, okay, so now before our next session, what is one thing that you're going to do to move that forward? Oh, by the next time he came and saw me, it was like he was a different person, because that one shift, like I call it, going from having a mind shift, and then getting into mind flow. And once he had that one little shift, it was like he was a different person. And that's what coaching is supposed to be. Find out what's going to float their boat.
And think about it, like at the airport or somewhere where they have those moving walkways.
Yeah.
You're walking along and somebody else is just smoothly going along. But then there's also the people that are walking on the moving walkway, and they are zooming ahead. And that's like those three mindsets. There's they're walking, then they're on the moving when they change, and then when they hit into that flow, they're zooming along because they're walking on the moving walkway.
Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah.
It's hot off the press.
Hot off the press. It's a good analogy, because that's exactly so. But I think what happens sometimes is that with coaches, and hey, I love coaching, but I think that we get caught up in trying to be everything for everybody. We're not. It's not about us. I loved what you said at the beginning. It's not about us. It's about helping them discover who they are, the best version of them.
Yes.
And so, yeah, but it's such a fun thing. It is such a fun thing. But we do, okay.
It was a win-win.
I'm sorry, what?
I said, and it's so rewarding. It's a win-win for everyone.
Yes.
It's a win-win for everybody. That, because when you get in touch with who you are, then it absolutely opens up every other area of your life. Because so often people, and not to pick on family businesses, but so often people are in family businesses and well, do you like it? Well, no. Then why are you in it? Well, it's my family's business.
Right.
And how often do people get caught up in being part of a family business, and yet it is not what they're supposed to be doing?
Well, and I think it's hardest for people in the two extremes, the very successful businesses that catch you in with the golden handcuffs, and the businesses that are barely holding on, and everybody has to pitch in to help mom and dad survive. And so I think sometimes in the middle, people can leave and do their own, desire.
It's interesting because it brings up another point about how is the being. So it's like, there's always stuff to do, right? But how do we want to be while we're doing it? Mm-hmm. And there lies a big part. Like, so, I see a lot of businesses where, okay, I have to help them out because it's all this struggle, it's all this stress, it's all this surviving, right? Versus operating in ease, grace, and flow. And there's processes, there's systems, there's smooth sailing. Like they wake up in the morning and they enjoy doing what they're doing and being who they are. Such a big difference of how we operate any business, really.
Right. Exactly. So right now I have been very good. I'm trying to be very good. I tend to be just talking all the time and forget to do a little station break. And then Jason says, gee, Barb, we didn't stop for a station break. So we are going to take a little pause. We're going to have a little station break. But then when we come back, we ourselves are not going anywhere, but Jason will put in here. I just need to leave him a place marker. But when we come back, I thought we could talk about just tips of getting started, structures of what people can do even on their own within having a coach to coach them. And how to get in touch with you, things that are really important. And my siren is going off. And just to really just talk about things to do, things to look for in the coach, and things to not look for. So that kind of stuff. Anyway, so, okay. Hi, Jason. Bye, Jason. All right. We'll start again. All right. Hi, everybody. We're back. How are you doing? Hope you enjoyed your break. But thank you. You're listening to the Everyday Riches show, and we have our guest host on, Carol Henderson of Life by Design, and our very special guest, Dr. Heather Tucker. And we are talking about coaching, the value of coaching, how to find a coach, and why would you consider having a coach? And it is just so important to see where you want your life to go. And sometimes we all need help. So Heather, welcome back. Yay. So let's just cover it. How would you say, like, how did you start getting into coaching? Let's go there. Let's start there.
Oh, it is so different. So, we were talking about how you were sharing of how people just go through the life. They go through the daily norm. I call it the Iago trance. You wake up, you go to work, you come home, you're exhausted, you veg out on the TV, you eat, you talk to the family, then you go to sleep, then you wake up, you do the same thing. And I was on that wheel for quite some time. And what happened was I didn't realize, like, after spending 12 hours at least a day on the computer, there was so much. It's so easy for us to focus on what we're good at and neglect all the other areas of life. And so for me, I was seeing so much misery around me. I was seeing, a lot of people who were struggling, having difficulties. And I recognized I was struggling and having difficulties. And what I realized is, like, you know what? I could stay here in this cushy job, permanent 6-figure position, or I could go and do what God is calling me to do. Sometimes he has that tug on our heart, right? Like, okay, you learned everything that you need to learn from here, time to move on. And then we have our own resistance of, no, this is security, this is whatever. And it was literally a day, like one of the most successful days of my career. I was an intelligence technologies researcher for the Army, where I realized that this is not it. And the very next day I was like, okay, I got to look for something else. And I had got a job in higher education. And I was like, yes, I'm going to be teaching. It's going to be awesome. And I knew that was temporary, because one of the things that I heard was I would feel like the stress even from my students in their emails. And I'm like, you're 18, 19 years old. You should not be this stressed. I should not feel the energy of your stress in this. And I was like, there's something more. So I remember my mom said, she's like, well, Heather, what the heck do you want to do? I was like, I want to help people. She was like, well, as long as you get paid for it. I said, okay. So I was like, I don't know what that is. I had never heard about coaching. You know how sometimes we can be in that Iago trance and we get a glimpse. Maybe we see someone or we hear someone or we experience something that's like, wait, there's more. And then we kind of go back into that. I call it going back to sleep. So easy to go back to sleep. And so this time the message was louder. We can either hear the call for our life or we can continue to endure the pain fighting against it. Well, I had a lot of pain fighting against it. So then I was like, let's hear this call. And stepping into this after certifying about 400 life coaches and maybe about almost 50 communication mind experts, I realized that there's something so powerful about this. And even after coaching for 7 years, the transformations that I see, how it doesn't change just the person, but it changes everyone around them. It changes their families. It changes what their calling is. There's this joy, there's this light, there's this beauty of them really being able to unleash their greatness. So I had 5 secrets to be able to share to support kind of this whole process. And I'll go into them and you let me know if it fills up any gaps. So a lot of times people have never heard of a coach. They never heard of what coaching is. I know me, I had never heard of it. I had no clue what was possible. I know I talk to people and they're like, what the heck is that? Or they think it's only for certain people. I think it's only for the lifestyles of the rich and famous. It's not for me. Or, it's only for people that, there's different coaches at all price points. Coaching is for everyone. If there is a gap between where you are and where you want to be, there's always room for coaching, period. period, in any area of life. Okay, so let me get into these secrets because this is really going to help.
Yeah. I'll get my paper.
Yes. It spells out the acronym for peace. See, we're called to be able to, in spite of what's going on in the world, have a calm and a peace about us. To be able to know that everything is happening for us and not necessarily to us. To be able to overcome the victim mindset of woe is me, to stepping into the victorious mindset. And I've definitely been there with the victim mindset and, oh my gosh, all this is happening to me. And oh my gosh, this is horrible. Why? But the thing is, why not? Why not you? All the things that we've experienced are not necessarily just for us. That's the thing. It's not for us. It's for so many people who have, maybe going through the same things or similar things, and we've overcome them. We only got to be one step ahead of the people we support. We don't have to have it all together. I am so happy not being perfect. Okay. Perfection is poverty, paralysis, it leads to procrastination. I love being perfectly imperfect. Just do the best you can. So the P.
She needs a paperweight. We gave a friend of ours, it's triangle paper. It says perfectly imperfect.
Yes, really. Oh, cool. Yes, send me one, please. That would be awesome. If you, because that's exactly what it is.
But we'll have to all go to Dallas, and because that's where we bought it.
Okay.
So we'll just all meet up in Dallas.
I love it because everything is big in Texas. So, we go big. It's so good.
Yeah. Go big or go home.
That's right. Okay, so the P. The P stands for two things, okay? I couldn't decide which one, so here, I'm going to give you both of them. The first is practice total health. Total health is spiritual, mental, emotional, and physical. Yeah. A lot of times people focus so much on the spiritual aspect. And if I used to think if I prayed so hard that things are just going to happen. Mm-hmm. Or they focus on the physical aspect. If I worked out so much, then I would be able to get to my ideal weight, right? But the reality is, it's the mental and emotional, it's the mind, our mindset, our thoughts, and our emotions that will make or break our success. Yeah. And if we have these thoughts that it's like, I'm not good enough, who am I to do this? What the hell is wrong with me? There's so much other people doing it better than me. I mean, all these limiting beliefs that we can have that actually fuel our negative emotions. We're actually in a series right now talking about the power of negative emotions and how to overcome them. Our anger, our sadness, our fear, our hurt, our guilt, all this past-based stuff that needs to be let go. And see, it's really interesting because in entrepreneurship, our business is an extension of all that we are. Mm-hmm. So how we go is how the business goes. It has to get filtered through our mind and our mindset as well. That's why it's so crucial to make sure that there's clarity there, there's healing there. So that's why it's so funny that in the flyer where it says heal there, heal there, because that's what we talk about. I know that sometimes people are like, how do I let this go? How do I let all the anger go? How do I let all of the unforgiveness go? Well, if we hold on to it, what is the cost of staying the same? What is the cost of holding on to it? How is it going to prevent us from actually living our calling and making an impact that we're supposed to? So P also stands for patient perseverance on the path. Patient perseverance on the path. A lot of times I hear, I should have been here by now. This should have already been resolved by now. I should have already had the success by now. Like this should have already, so the shoulda, woulda, coulda, and the power is actually in the process and the progress. We're not the same person that we were on the beginning of the journey. It doesn't mean that we're not going to achieve our destination, but sometimes people get so focused on the destination that they neglect the power of where they are in the present moment. And it's our presence and our present that is actually the biggest present of how our future turns out to be. So I hope that was good for y'all.
Yeah, that was great.
So E.
Yeah, keep going. We love this.
Okay. E stands for, I used to say that it stands for energy and emotions are one. but actually it stands for emotional intelligence is key. Emotional intelligence is key. See, it's so interesting because sometimes I'll run into people and they're like, oh my gosh, you have all this book smarts. But what's different from you is that there's so much heart space and wisdom. You know, if we don't heal what hurt us, we will bleed over the people that don't deserve it.
Amen.
And we can't control the things that are happening, but we can control how we respond to them. And that's where our greatest power is, in our response. This is one of the reasons why in our life coaching certification, we talk about life harmony. We talk about creating peace on all sides. And it really has to do with emotional intelligence. It's the cornerstone, because now our ideas and our successes can get past our thoughts, our mental body. But when it comes into our emotional body, there's so much great fear. There's so much stuff that comes up. And on the other side of fear is freedom, fulfillment, and a whole new level of faith. It's exciting. It's really exciting because, you know, I know what it's like to have great fear. I know what it's like to want to stay small. You know, a lot of times we want to hide, right? Especially with the negative emotions, we want to hide. But why try to fit in when we were born to stand out? So different. So that emotional intelligence, how we feel is so crucial. This is one of the reasons why, you know, in the beginning, I was teaching just kind of like the cookie cutter approach to coaching. And then when I started doing my own certification, I realized this emotional intelligence part was so crucial, because one of the things I would hear, or I would even tell my students, you know, after you take this class and they're on this all-time high and they're like, okay, I'm going to go do this. I'm going to make the impact. Yay, rah, rah, rah. And then they get back to their life and only 10% or less of the people who had taken the class to become an amazing coach actually went off to do anything with it. Why? Because so many things happen in their lives. If it wasn't an attack on them, it was an attack on their families. If it wasn't like, you know, all these different things come up. It's almost like as soon as you say, I'm going to go do this, you know, there's forces that want you to do it and there's forces that don't. And it's how we see our mindset and be clear and focused instead of being blown away by the things that happen. It's so easy to be blown away by the things that happen. But how can we be able to overcome? How can we be able to stay focused? How can we be able to see the bigger picture? A lot of it has to do with how we feel about what's going on and how we can recognize what is ours to carry and what is not ours to carry. You know, how to be able to preserve our energy. Our emotions are really energy and motion. It's all about energy. It's all about the energy that we carry, the energy that we are. So it leads to awareness of avoidance and aloha. So awareness of avoidance is so easy, like I said, to focus on the things that we can control. I mean, I'm so good at that. I used to be like, oh, okay, if I focus on career, everything else will eventually work out. You know, you get to that ladder of success, right, where the world sees, oh my gosh, it's amazing, it's awesome. And then there can be so much misery because all the other areas of life are the things that we avoided that we haven't been addressing become bigger. And they prevent us from actually being able to see, feel, and own that total success. So what we resist persists, and what we continue to avoid will just become these big mountains. So it's about facing everything and rising. And the awareness of aloha, this is so crucial too, because a lot of times we see in the world conditional love. I love you if, I love you until. I love, you know, so it's almost like this, sometimes we have even unexpected pressure, not only from like people out there, but even our own families sometimes.
Ourselves.
And ourselves. Oh my God.
I think sometimes we're our biggest roadblocks.
Yeah, we can be our best friend or our worst enemy.
Yes.
You know, and it's like, what do we choose? What do we choose? I mean, I get it. I remember being my worst enemy. And what's so beautiful is that it's like falling in love with being my best friend.
Yeah.
There's no other joy than that, because about operating in that excitement, operating in that fulfillment, operating in that true aloha. See, aloha means more than just I love you, hello, and goodbye, right? It means truthfulness. It means light. It means humility. It means, that unconditional agape love.
Right.
But we cannot give other people what we don't have. We can't pour out from an empty cup. So our love is conditional based on how much love we're actually able to receive and own. We're all loved, but a lot of times people can't even feel even God's love for them because there's so much difficulty in the love for themselves and so much difficulty in the love for other people.
Well, everybody knows the scripture that says, love your neighbor as yourself. It's one of the 10 commandments. But if you don't love yourself, you cannot love your neighbor.
Right.
It's an impossibility. And so, they may be out doing this, doing that for the whole world at large, and themselves, their health, their wealth, their whole psyche is just spiraling down because they don't love themselves. And they're stepping over their kids at the door to go out and help the world. And the world, it might be somebody else's calling.
Oh, so good. So true. It reminds me of this. There was a story about this man who went to go and save the world, and he got frustrated because the world wasn't changing. And then he went to go and try to save his community and got frustrated because the community wasn't changing. So then he went to go and try to change his family and got really upset because his family wasn't changing. And it wasn't until he was on his deathbed that he realized, if I had just changed myself, then
Right.
everything else would have changed around me.
Right.
See, that part about the projection of blame. It's your fault. You made me feel this way, right? It's your fault. So that where there's maybe 3 fingers or 2 fingers pointing out at somebody else, there's a whole bunch of fingers pointing back at you. And when we don't own that, granted, I know, I get it. Like, it's so easy to blame. They call it BMW. I'll say it. Bitching, moaning, and whining. And it feels so good to do that.
I like that.
That doesn't do anything but actually create more of the energy into that thing. What we focus on expands.
Right.
So we're focusing on what's going wrong.
Right. So more things go wrong.
Then more things go wrong.
Yes.
Yeah. So
have you read? I'm sure you probably have heard of Andy Andrews.
No.
He wrote the Traveler's Gift.
Oh, that was Traveler's Journey. Yeah, it's good book.
Yeah. He a mentor of Barbara's and mine sent that to us at Christmas time. And then I bought it on Audible, and Keith and I've been listening to it when we ride around. And so reading it, listening to it, it is a phenomenal book that goes into all this stuff you're talking about.
That sounds so good.
Yeah.
One of the things that I'm so excited about and looking forward to, I feel like I have a whole year of reading. Like,
oh, wow.
Hearing and reading.
Start with this one. It's great.
Because he talks about the 7 principles of success. And the first principle is the buck stops here.
Yes. Yeah.
We're responsible for everything. It's us. Yeah. And that's sometimes a hard pill to swallow.
Exactly.
What do you mean? Where I am right now is because of me. No, but it was all these things that happened. Yeah, no, but
it was your choices.
You made choices. It was your choices.
Now, can I give a shameless plug, Barbara? Can I give a shameless plug?
Yeah.
Sure. Heather, I really think that my husband's book would be a good one to put in your toolbox. Just the things you said. His book is available on Amazon. It's like $9. We did the least price they would let us do. So Kindle is $3, paperbacks $9, but people tell us it's like a handbook on a lot of these things that we're talking about, but it's more in the spiritual end of it.
Oh, cool. What's it
And
called?
the things that are blockages and stuff in being able to walk out these things. It's called So You Say You Saw a What? With three question marks. So
Nice.
You Say You Saw a What? By Keith
Good
Hendricks.
book. I totally enjoyed it.
Oh, that's cool. Okay.
Yeah, didn't you say you're reading it again?
I'm rereading it. Yeah, I reread parts of it just because, you know, like anytime you learn anything, you have to go back and refresh.
Well,
So,
and you
but I wanna
learn more
continue,
because it's
but-
building on the foundation.
because it's building on the foundation.
It's like watching a
Right.
movie. You know
Right.
how you watch a movie one time and you're like, oh, I get it. And then you watch it again. And you're like, oh my gosh, I see something
Oh, I never
different.
saw
You watch it,
that.
Yeah,
Right.
exactly.
Yeah.
Well, that's the way it's been doing Traveler's Gift, the second time
Yeah.
Audible.
But-
But-
oh
but
yeah, I might be on
seriously,
my third time. through it.
Keith's book is a very easy read. It's a very quick read. Don't let the cover scare you
Okay.
because it has an odd cover.
Cool. Cool. Yeah. I'll put it on the list. I'm excited because that is that part about ease, grace, and flow. So I'll share with you ladies that I don't know if Barbara knew, but I'm almost 7 months pregnant.
Oh, congratulations.
Yeah, thank you
How
for having another
exciting.
little girl. So that's what I'm saying. It's like business building for the next month or so and then smooth sailing.
So, planned or surprise?
Oh, it's totally a surprise. Totally a surprise.
Those are the best.
I know this is it. It's like the Michael Jackson tour. Okay, this is it. This is it. But the beautiful thing is that it teaches and reminds us that need for self-care, self-love, self-nourishment even more, because it's not just about me, So it's pretty exciting. Yeah.
And if Barbara hadn't talked to you about what we do, we need to chat afterwards here because
We'll have to chat.
there's a
yeah.
fabulous video about healthy moms and kids.
Okay, so nice. Our children, they're a reflection of what's going on. A lot of times it's so easy to want to get triggered by our children, right? But they actually are the biggest beauty in showing us.
A mirror?
It's like, yeah, perfect mirror. And it was because when I became a mom, that's kind of what led me on this journey even more. It's like, why am I so frustrated with this kid? What's going on? And I'm like, it has nothing to do with him and everything to do with me.
How many do you have?
We have three.
So this is number 4?
No. This is number 3. So this will be
okay.
3.
So ages?
9-year-old boy. He'll be 9 in a couple days. 8-year-old 3-year-old girl, and then this one girl.
So this one is a surprise.
Yes, totally.
How fun. My daughter-in-law had kids that were spaced like that.
Yeah, so
I
interesting.
had 3 in 3 years. All boys.
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
It was fun around our house.
I bet. It's always a journey, it's
Yeah.
always a journey. It's that life harmony that we talked about. Like that part about I'm a recovering workaholic. And, I'll say that. Because when I was in the Army, I had like 3 jobs. When I was working on my PhD, I had like 4 jobs at one point. It's like, what the heck is wrong with you? But I know the one secret, the one message that I love to share is that we never want to get so busy making a living that we forget to make a life. Because a lot of times I hear about people, they work so hard in their careers that they didn't even really know who their family was.
Right.
Exactly.
Okay, so let me finish up these secrets for you.
Yes.
Okay. C stands for courage.
Ooh.
Courage for yourself and others. A lot of the stuff that we go through, and I'm sighing because I'm like, oh my gosh, I think about all the things. And all the things lead to us being able to step into our courageousness. That whole part about God doesn't put on us more than we can bear.
Right.
And we were wondering, like, what the heck is going on? Like, seriously. But it's leading to us stepping into our courageousness.
Mhm.
you know, to be able to have that courage. That part about courage for ourselves. Are we living our calling? Are we living our purpose? Are we really owning and honoring it? Because see, there's a difference between living it and having passion with it.
Right.
You know, so I see it's one of the things I usually see is that there's been a lot of lost heart in the journey. Like you go off, you do this company, oh my God, it's going to be amazing. And then we get so caught up in the doing that we lose the joy in it. And it's about really making sure that that passion is rekindled, because everything, like I said, is a reflection of us. So if we have that heart and heart, or that this passion that we're doing, whether we're successful with it or not, we'll miss out on the full fulfillment that God wants us to be able to experience on that journey of living and calling.
So do you also think that sometimes people lose their passion because they just inadvertently turn it in on them, what they're doing, how they're doing it, what they're making, doing it, instead of continually focusing back on the not kids, on the people that they're helping? You think that's
I think it's a combination of both. And the reason why is, again, it's so easy to focus on other people than ourselves, right?
Mhm.
And then it's so easy to spiral down on ourselves, like we're not doing the best we're not doing everything we're supposed to, or we should have did it better, or we should, you know, we're hardest on ourselves, right?
Amen.
So it's that part, and it's also how it gets reflected into when we're working with other people. See, one of the things that I usually hear is, I have to have a perfect life. Everything has to be perfect in order for me to get out there and do this calling. And I'm like, shut the hell up. No, that is not the case, right? Life is not meant to be perfect. There is no one that has a perfect life. But there's people that have joy in the midst of the imperfections.
Yeah. Amen.
You know, so that is where you learn. You focus on what you're doing, what you're called to do. What I love about coaching is that every single coaching experience, there's a message not only for you, for the client, but there's also a message for you.
Mm-hmm.
And there's something that's so beautiful in that. Like, this is the one industry where you can be able to continue to work and elevate your personal and professional development while supporting other people. So,
Right.
I tell them, I said, you know, take that time after a session, pay attention. What's the message for you? Where is it speaking? Where is God speaking to you through this? Because there's never any coincidence of interactions. Never. Even though we think, oh, this just happened by coincidence.
Yeah.
Did you know that in Hebrew there is not a word for coincidence?
No way.
Not a word at all. I mean, there's no word that means coincidence.
Oh, so perfect, so true.
Yeah. So what does God think about coincidence?
That everything is divine and right timing and perfect timing. It may not be our timing. This is where we get frustrated. This is where that whole lack of, or just, what's the other side of courage? Discouragement. You know, so in the series that I'm doing with the power of negative emotions, I'll talk about what the negative emotion is, and then I'll talk about what the Bible says about the negative emotion, and then I'll talk about what 3 secrets to overcome this negative emotion.
Oh, wow. Let me know when you get that done.
Okay, we got so many out. I'll definitely be able to share it with you for sure.
Yeah.
Because what was interesting is, you know, out of all of the negative emotions I've done so far, fear is the biggest one that he talks about. I mean, he talks about some, but there's so many. Do not be afraid. Do not be discouraged. We get so caught up in our fear, right? And it's just like, it paralyzes us. It actually discourages us. So on the other side, that's why I say on the other side of that fear is courage. Courage for yourself and others. If we don't express, and a lot of times, I don't know about you, but I grew up in the industry or the arena where children are seen and not heard. You know, speak when spoken to, come when called. You know, children that are you know, their opinions and stuff don't necessarily matter. We got more important things to focus on. Now, granted, all of this comes from someplace. My grandparents were in the Depression, the Great Depression. So everything trickles down from generation. We're all just doing the best that we can. But what did that do? It limited our voice. It limited our ability to express. We talk about a lot of times trauma, unresolved trauma. Like if you would have asked me maybe 10 years ago when I was working for the government, how was your childhood? I'd be like, oh, great. Right. But then when you start peeling back, like, oh, this is why I'm like this. This is what's going on. But all of that does not define it. Yes, in order to be able to know where we're going, we got to be able to understand where we've been. We have to acknowledge our past. We don't have to live there. So many people either live there, they live in the past and they can't get past it, or they live in the future and that's all they see, but they're missing the present.
Right.
And that's where everything is created. So the last one, E, stands for expand your supportive environments. It's not about going to battle alone. It's about being able to have support. One of the messages God said to me is that it's not about the temporary, it's about the eternal. The temporary is our situation, our circumstance, what's happening. But internal is our legacy, our life's purpose, our soul's purpose, our calling. And all of the temporary situations and circumstances, it's almost like when things go awry, I'm like, oh, Lord, what are you doing? This is going to be something really good. But old Heather would have been like, oh my gosh, this is horrible. What's going on? And then I wallow in that. So think about, what do we wallow in? And then who do we have to be able to have a safe and confidential environment to be able to talk to?
Mm-hmm.
Because if we don't get it out, like I love that I feel like I have an army of angels above me, supporting me, and God is there. And then I also feel like I have an army of earth angels, my coaches, my support system here. And it feels good to feel totally supported, valued, loved, and appreciated in spite of.
Right. Exactly.
Oh yeah, those are my secrets. And
Heather, this is awesome.
Thank you.
It is. It is.
Yeah.
Thank you. I appreciate
That
that.
word, yes. Just, and that's the thing, is everybody has a different perspective on anything. And that's why it is so valuable to get it out to people. Because people will, and for me, myself, is that when I watch anything or listen to anything, doesn't matter who it is, how new they are in the business or how seasoned they are in the business, if I learn one thing from them, if I take one golden nugget, because sometimes you can get a new coach that just has a new insight.
Exactly.
And if I can learn one thing,
yes,
then it was a success. It was a successful interview or a successful meeting or whatever I'm doing with them. And even sometimes, even from clients. Oh, because they have an aha moment. And sometimes their aha moment can trigger an aha moment in you.
Exactly.
And I think it's the people that are not open to those things, that they're the ones that struggle more, or they get stuck more. Because, hey, you know what? Out of the mouths of babes,
exactly,
once in a while, you'll have a child that just says, well, why not do it this way?
Yeah. Well, and that goes, I thought about that, that scripture when you were talking about children are to be seen and not heard.
Yeah.
I thought about that. And I've got to say, Barbara, your show brings so much. I mean, there was so much value today in what Heather's had to say. It's just like, just a sponge soaking it up, like-minded spirits. And that it's exciting.
Yeah. And that's the premise of this show, is finding the everyday riches in your everyday.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So anyway, thank you so much. Heather, it's been
So
exciting.
Heather, how do people get in touch with you? Let's go there. Give you a plug
I'm getting
and
ready.
let people.
Okay. So my website is anotherlevelliving.com. And there's a couple of free gifts there. I would say be able to, there's a link to schedule some time where we can have a clarity call, talk about what's going on. There's so many different options to be able to support you at different levels. I would also say you can send me an email, heather@anotherlevelliving.com, same, all spelled out, all one word. This part about the last thing I want to share is it really is about prosperity powered by partnership. The Bible says where two or more gather, there he will be also. And there lies the beauty of knowing to work together, like just like Barbara had talked about, and the beauty of this show. That was one of the reasons why we started our Freedom Friday show, because it was like the wisdom, the wisdom that comes in every single episode. It speaks to me, it speaks to the people who are listening, and it speaks to all the people who are going to look at the replay later.
Yes.
And so that part about sharing our wisdom, everyone has a story, everyone has a journey, everyone is a hero. We talk about the hero's journey. Our hero's journey is the connection to people. And so sometimes people think that they may feel, if any one of you who are listening who feel like insignificant, not valued, not appreciated, not supported, maybe you might be people who you would love to have support with, your family, your partner, et cetera, know that there's a message and there's so much glory on the other side. And it's not necessarily for you to try to get there and go to battle alone. It's about having support. Because the reality is that the beauty of coaching, or the beauty of really any supportive environment, is that we can be able to see outside of what we can just see on our own. Mm-hmm. So thank you for having me today.
Oh, well, and I can't wait to have you on our show.
This is going to be absolutely awesome. I can't wait to, just to put it out there, and we're out live. And so for all of you that are listening, reach out to Heather. And, if you're looking for, we all talk slightly differently. If you're looking for somebody, if something one of us has said today touches you, then reach out to us. We do free calls. Just let's discover if we're the ones that you need to talk to. Because sometimes it just amazes me that, but what if I don't like them? Well, then you look for somebody else.
Yeah, no harm, no foul. We all
There's
do.
no harm, no foul.
Free chats. It's just a chat. It's not any big, or at least with mine, it's not any big, deep delving into anything. It's just get to know each other, because you want to work with people that like and trust.
Exactly. And that's why there's a person or a coach or some support for every person. And it's like sometimes how you have to shop for different churches, right? Which one works? Sometimes, and you go into one, you're like, oh, this is amazing. I feel good. Awesome. The conversation that we have is what's going to be able to support you in recognizing is that a value for you.
Yeah, right. Amen. Well, and let's take it down to everybody, because there's some people that don't go to church on here. Okay. Hopefully someday you will. And we'll find Jesus. But let's take shoes. How often do you shop for shoes, and you shop and then you find a pair? It's like, oh my goodness, I have got to have these. I don't care the price. I'm not even going to look. These shoes, my feet, done deal.
Nice.
So that's how you should feel about your coaches.
Yeah. I was going to say it's the same as, when you're out shopping for a car. Everybody's idea of the ultimate car, like this was just, I was at a parade and they had the Corvettes, and I said, I would never want a Corvette. I mean, I love to look at it, but wouldn't want a Corvette because they're too low to the ground. I'm a truck kind of girl. And I used to drive when my kids were little, I used to drive an F-150 Ford. I drove a Ford pickup truck. Loved it. And
And
now
that's
I
what
have
I'm
an
looking
SUV.
for is a truck because
Is it?
I
Yeah.
used to drive a BMW, almost new. I mean, well,
Yeah.
in fact, I got it new. I'm laying the seats down, putting hay and feed and wood and wire in it, scooting it under in a new BMW. I need a truck.
It's funny. I have to jump in on this, right? Because I said that I would never drive a minivan. Never, ever, ever. I drove my mom's minivan one time to the bank when I was 18, and the lady asked me, "Do you want any suckers for the kids?" And I'm like, "Heck no, I don't have any kids," right? So ever since then, I was so turned away from minivans. And I drove a truck, an Explorer, for quite some time, and I love my Explorer. So, like a couple years ago, I got a minivan. Oh my gosh. It is the
Aren't they
best
great?
thing since sliced bread.
They're the
I
best.
don't think I can ever go back. I mean, automatic doors, everything. Yes.
Mhm.
Yes. And it fits everything. Everything.
Yeah.
Right.
And so,
Right.
it's what floats your boat.
Exactly.
It's what is right for you. And so it's the same thing with coaches. Three
the ones-
personalities here, three different ways of doing things. Find what fits with you. And don't, basically, if you're looking for a coach, you're hiring somebody. Would you hire somebody that you don't like just because they have a good reputation or they're
Right.
good at what they do? You might not. But if you're going to have a close relationship with them, you want somebody you're going to like, somebody that you want to be with. And so that's, I just want to encourage you to take the time to shop. Find those shoes that fit and look great
That's right. That's right.
Exactly. So,
for the church that
Everybody-
you belong in.
That's right.
ladies, this was great. Heather, thank you so much for coming on the Everyday Riches show. And Carol, of course, couldn't do without you because you just stepped in at the last minute. Poor Jason. Jason, we love you and I miss you, but hopefully you feel better soon. So just have a great day, and everybody, reach out to us and comment below. Just what is your takeaway, or what is an everyday richest thing that you can find in your life today?
Amen.
And just
Amen.
welcome, and we'll talk to you soon. So I am going to stop this.